Hello, beauties. Welcome to this Sacred Service podcast. I'm Star Shantir and just so happy to be here. Happy New Year.
Happy
And
New
it's just really wonderful to open up this new year with you guys. And hello, Tyler, welcoming my beautiful co host, Tyler Tanner. How are you doing this morning, my love? How are you in this new year, this new sparkle, this new beginning?
It does feel pretty fresh and new, huh?
Right?
Um,
She
I
fresh.
and I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. We got snowed in the last few days, and so we got like 14 inches of snow. The TV only reported that we got 6. They're all lying. We got 14 inches of snow.
Size matters.
Size does matter. So we had a couple of snow days, and that was really nice. Um, so it's
Isn't
been
there something so special about the quietness that is available in the snow?
There's a quietness that's available in the snow, and there's also, funny enough, a sense of community also
Mm.
because everyone's getting outside around the same time because we all need to go places, but we can't, so we're all shoveling our snow side by side, and it's kind of fun to see, your neighbors and kind of their back and forth with their family dynamic or whatever the situation is, so that's nice too.
Yeah,
Uh,
bringing community together.
yeah. But I guess I've been in a really reflective space, and coming into this new year, I really feel like um, I want to act from my heart. I feel like the message that I've been getting recently is to lighten up a little bit and
Yeah.
so, you know? And so, yeah, that I feel like I wanna get out of my head and I wanna come back more into a space from my heart, and I had kind of the thought of like, "No, I don't wanna do that because, like, I need my head, I need that analytical mind, I need
Right?
to be able to do that." So it's like, I don't wanna shift the awareness and just come from a place of my heart in totality, like, I wanna unify both and recognize the place for both of them in my life, but definitely I want to act from my heart. I don't wanna be in a place of fear or uncertainty. I just want to be in a more trusting place and be in a more I feel like acting from my heart, will just really achieve that, like, genuine, authentic move that I'm trying to make with my life. So that's how I'm doing.
Hey, that's so beautiful. And I love it. Like this whole lighten up kind of theme is like really been present in my awareness too. And maybe we want to kind of look at what's happening galactically and how this message is coming in right now, this very moment. Here we are. Today is January 4th of the new year, 2023, and the sun is the closest to our planet right now. And so, can we connect with that power of the sun and lighten the fuck up, Can we connect with that portal, the light, not the sun itself, but the light that is the sun, the light that is there. I mean, this is what the ancients have been teaching us for so long, is that the sun is actually a portal in which we can go through the back of the sun and get wherever we need to go, in the upper world, and, reaching wherever we are needing to get to on a shamanic level and an energetic level. It's even been talked about how we've been sort of hoodwinked into the karmic loop of coming back and serving this earthly, existence over and over and over again, because we're going to the light in the tunnel, and it just gets us in a feedback karmic loop of coming back after we have passed away, where now the new thought, or maybe the old thought that's coming back around, the ancient thoughts of, Nefertiti and so forth, were that, we actually go through the back of the sun and through that portal, now we can invoke our free will. Where do we want to go, and what do we want to do with this beautiful soul and this beautiful spirit, and there we have choices. So it's interesting to think about lighten up and this auspicious time of we're entering into this full moon energy, and it's the closest that the sun is to our planet. And maybe we want to dive a little bit deeper into this energy, the light that is the sun, not necessarily the sun itself, but the light, coming back to the light. Lighten up our energy field, lighten up in our heart, lighten up in our mind, lighten the fuck up in our spirit, and I think that maybe we're all feeling a little bit of sense of that. Do you guys feel that? Are you also feeling that? Let us know. Let us know. We want to hear how you're feeling, and what's in your consciousness and your awareness of what is being called forth, for you in this new year, in this new time, in this new space. And not everybody subscribes to the Gregorian calendar and looking that this is actually the time that marks a new rotation around, and this is all of those things. But when we start looking at it in a planetary alignment, and we're looking at it from what we know about the planetary alignment, that yeah, we are starting a new beginning, we are starting a new place, and it's pretty exciting, huh?
It is.
And
Um,
too, Tyler, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, you're good. I keep having this thought of this comparison that I heard recently that light is equal to consciousness. Like there is no separation between divine consciousness and light itself. And so I feel like that is pretty poetic in the way of, lighten up, and I feel like there's something to be said about the ability to observe when it comes to light and how light reaches us, and our ability to observe others, to observe ourselves. And so in this space of new beginning and this new way of being in the world, we have an opportunity to create how that looks like, for whatever's best for us. And so, how are you creating that new life? Yeah.
Right? And how are you feeding that light? How
Hmm.
are you feeding your own light? And, you know, the word namaste, right? It's just become kind of a cliche kind of word, but when we really get down into the weeds of namaste, what we're saying is, I see the light in you that is in me, and the place where we are one. And so I just would love to invite all of you guys, all of us, me too, right? Is to practice that, and maybe that in ourself can lighten up the collective consciousness, instead of going and seeing the darkness or the shadow or where I can't trust you or us versus them. If we can come to a place of compassion within ourselves and actually looking for that light in each other. Wow, it kind of really, instead of judging, if we're going to put our judger cap on, why not judge in a way that we can, like, let me see what's going on with you and your light, let me look for that light. And sometimes that's all we really need, as we are maybe even entrenched in our shadows. We are really entrenched in our patterns, and we're really entrenched in, the old paradigms even, is that, can we look for that light? Can we nurture that light in not only ourselves but in each other? And I think sometimes that's all we really need, is for just that one person to be able to see us in that light, to pull us up and out, like, hey dude, I see you. Like, you got an amazing light, let's shine that. Yeah, let's grow that. How do you think we can nurture that? And sometimes it's just that little bit of spark, that's all we need for somebody else to see us, that we can then see it in ourselves. So I think that this is a big, big message for us all, lighten up in many, many ways. So we have all of this influx of energy. I have been feeling this portal sort of opening. And I don't know, rather it's, well, part of it, I do understand that it is shedding this this tiger medicine that we've been in for the past year. That was some heavy duty stuff, you know? And so, what I mean by that is that last year was the year of the tiger. And so, when we start thinking about tiger medicine and what that all brings, I mean, you know, that's strength and endurance, and that's cunning, and that's, you know, really tracking it through, you know, your emotional layers, you know, and you can't hide from your emotional layers and some of that shadow stuff that was really being called forth last year to like, you will look at your shadow shit, you know? And I think like, oh, shoo, we did that. Now we can lighten the fuck up, you know? This like, oh, great, we have this sweet bunny coming in, woo, you know? So the year of the rabbit is where we're entering. And I think that just feels so much lighter too, right?
Yeah. And I think that's really beautiful. And the topic that we're talking about today with, you know, different guides and how they come into your life, whether they be angel or fairy or animal, you know, however that shows up. And I think that's a beautiful example of that right there, as like the different types of energy that different animals bring and how you can interpret that in kind of how you're going about your life, you know, coming from tiger medicine, which is very, you know, everything that you just said, and that full embodiment of like your, you know, highest self and your sacred warrior and all of that.
And your
And
majesty. I mean, like, we were really
yeah,
called forth last year to like get shit done, really clear out the deeper levels of where we did not feel worthy or deserving, and really clear out any old karmic stories, you know, so that we could come into this new year like, yes, 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 let's go. So I really do feel like this incredible portal has opened up that, you know, really has us letting go of last year and, you know, stepping into this lighter space. I have just felt this immense magic, alchemy, you know, that is like, ooh, all the things that are alchemizing and all the things that are manifesting for us this year are just waiting to be blossomed and birthed into this, you know, into this space. And I'd like to also invite you guys to maybe let go a little bit of your expectations of what that might look like for you. I think that some of what we can expect for this new year are things that we don't even know that we don't know yet. And so sometimes when we get really caught up in manifesting goals, and this is generally what happens in the new year, we start taking assessment of all the things that we've accomplished and all the things that we want to accomplish for the new year. And instead of going down that road, I would love to invite you guys to, I'm not saying don't set a goal. I'm saying let go of the attachment of how that goal is going to manifest.
mhm.
Because how it's going to manifest, we might not even know yet. We might not even know the people that are involved in the manifestation yet. We might not know, you know, so there's so many unknown things that are in the alchemy portal that are having, that are making, you know, their way to make manifest for us. So, you know, that's a big thing to let go of. And this is where, you know, you, Ty, we're talking about, I'd like to get out of my head a little bit more and into my heart a little bit more. And when we can alchemize these two, then we can get out of our way and, you know, not be in the control panels of, I have to control how it's going to happen. I have to control all of the details. We don't have to. We can dismantle that control panel and come more into the heart space so that we can become present, present to what is manifesting right here in front of us. And this is just such a great segue into the heart of our conversation today, Ty. You know, I feel like because today what we really want to get into is talking about our guides and how to access and open up the portals, and you know, how, who are your guides, how do you know? And so we're going to dive a little bit deep into that subject and maybe glean a little bit of new insights for you guys about how to access that energy. And so I think that's a great segue. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm
So
going to shuffle up some cards
yeah,
while you talk.
that's what
Woo! Flip
that's
out.
what I was thinking was the card coming up. And you know, just I do want to speak to what you're saying about dismantling the control panel and integrating, you know, your awareness and your intention to come from your heart space. And I still want to speak to, you know, that control panel is there for a reason, and you can reframe your awareness to this control panel and still give it a job to do. Because, for example, for me, coming into this new year and new music and learning new music and really kind of trying to step more into that, your brain can, you know, really hyperfixate on the how is this going to get done? What do I need to do? And all of that. But if you give your brain a job, so for me, that has been incorporating, you know, vocal exercises in addition to like my morning routine. And so you're giving yourself a process and a procedure to follow so that control panel feels like it had a job and the job was completed, you know, so that can really kind of help to allow yourself to sink in into this embodiment of, you know, alchemizing the mind and the heart together. So
That's beautiful. And I love that. I love giving the controller a new job, you know, and so that, you know, that we feel as though, you know, we're honoring that part of ourselves, which is a really great thing. And you know, we've even had this conversation on our podcast before, you know, whereas in my control panel is like on fucking overdrive all the time. So it's a practice for me to let go of the control, you know. Four planets in Capricorn. It just is what it is, you know? And I have like certain ways that you want to have things done and yada, 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 but you want to be open and fluid too, you know? And so where is that hill to die on, so to speak, you know? Like, what do you get? Well, yeah, of course, you know, we want to, I think that what I want to say is that we have been conditioned so deeply, especially here in the United States, to really idolize technology, the brain power, the, you know, intelligence, all of this, you know, and I feel like we have forgotten the heart. We have forgotten to feel. And we have forgotten that we need to be present and not so caught up in the wheel spinning all the time. And I think that there has to be the awareness of when we have been so up in our heads in the thinking process that we have forgotten to be present. And I think that's our biggest awareness in all of that, you know, and coming back to the present moment, because there's where the magic is. There's where our guides show up. There is where we see, you know, what's going on, you know, is in the present moment. If we're so caught up in worrying about what's going to happen or how things are going to make manifest, and we're so caught up in all of that, then we're missing all of everything that is happening right here in front of you. All your guides going, hey, hello. It's
I
cool.
wonder what the guides have to say today.
So
What do people have to say?
I'm pulling cards, and I was shuffling the cards, and one flipped out of the deck and landed on the floor. So this is an old deck of mine This is an old Doreen Virtue. I don't even know if we're allowed to say her name anymore in a metaphysical way. I don't mean to step on her toes whatsoever. But her works are old and beautiful, and even though that she has denounced what she calls the New Age, um, I still use her decks. I feel like her decks are very, very poignant. So this one is angel therapy. So as we're going to go into talking about our guides and angels and so forth, I thought I would pull a card from that particular deck. So this one that flew out of the deck is, let me see if I can get it in mediumship.
In front
Ooh,
of your face.
I don't know how I can. Oh, there we
There you
go.
go. Yeah.
There we go. Mediumship. Mediumship. You have the natural ability to connect with departed loved ones. So let's just start there. That's basic, right? That's the basics. You
Yeah,
have the ability. Do you believe that? Do you
I
believe
do.
that you have the ability to connect with your guides, to connect with your, departed ones? Do you have the belief system? So start there, like if you don't believe that there are guides for you, if you don't believe that, you can connect in, then maybe turn off. Maybe turn off the podcast. This one's not for you. Or lean in and maybe open up and expand and learn a little bit. I think we all have doubts, oh, that's, I have to go someplace to somebody, and get my destiny reading. I do destiny readings all the time with people, and it's such a beautiful way to connect people with their guides, connect people with what their guides are saying, hey, this is what your destiny line is for this year. And this is how you can nurture that destiny line. And so we have a posse, I like to call. Who's the posse that you work with? Who's the posse that works with you, knowingly or unknowingly? And so, Tyler, you were asking about, the difference between spirit guides, archangel guides, animal spirit guides, all these different things, And so let's talk about it. Let's get into the weeds, shall we?
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
think about that card, mediumship?
I think that you were spot on in the way that your own gifts and your own knowings start with an awareness and a belief in yourself. And I think that that is a constant relationship to and a skill to be nurtured, So if that is something that you want to progress and that's something that you want to develop in yourself, it's a skill just like any other, whether it's you want to pick up the guitar or you want to do more creative writing or you want to be a designer, whatever it is, it's a skill that has to be worked towards. And so even if you don't believe in yourself, oh, I'm on the level of, Doreen Virtue or any of these other, psychics, if you start with a practice and you start with uh, a ritual, so to speak, that can be done repeatedly over a period of time, giving yourself the benefit of the doubt and the time and space to nurture a seed, because it is a seed that we're planting, it's a seed that we're growing, so you do have to water it every day.
Right.
And as long as you are holding true to the process and you are being true to yourself in what it is that you in the work that you need to do in order to achieve X, Y, or Z, that you are putting in the work and that your seed, your
That's
belief in yourself will grow over that time.
So I love it. Yeah, you got to put the work in. If you want to connect with your guides, if you want to know who your guides are, and you want um, to receive messages from your guides, it doesn't mean that you have to take on, oh, now I'm a medium,
Right.
But if you want to connect into your own personal, inner medium self, there it is definitely a skill, and it is a tracking, and it is a knowing. And part of that, guys, is getting out of our own way and becoming that open channel. So, I'm just called to share right now a little bit of, let's get into that space. Let's do an action oriented activity, so to give you an experience of what that might feel like. So let's just take a deep breath into the heart space and exhale. And I want you to bring your awareness now to the top of your head and take a deep breath into the top of your head. And I want you to picture, sense, feel that you have a lotus flower or some sort of opening. It could be any kind of, opening at the top of your head. And with breath and intention, each breath begins to open that crown. Opening, opening, opening. Each breath, opening it wider. Maybe it's 1,000-point lotus, and all of those petals are opening with each breath. That's beautiful. Now, what we're going to do is bring our awareness now to our feet. So just take a breath into your feet and really sense and feel. And on our next breath, what we're going to do is we're going to establish a beam of light coming from the bottom of your feet down to the core of the earth. So take that deep in breath. And on that exhale, shoo, put that beam of light down, down deep into the center of the earth. And take a few breaths here, connecting with the Pachamama, thanking the Pachamama for holding you, loving you. There we go. Beautiful. So now you're grounded and your channel is open. And what we want to do now is bring our awareness back to the heart space. And just feel, sense that we're going to shoot a beam of light from your heart space all the way up through your crown, and we're going to connect through the moon. And today, since we're so close to the sun, is we're going to connect into the light of the sun. So here we go. Take that deep breath into the heart. And on the exhale, shoot that beam of energy up, 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 out through your crown, through the moon, and boom, into the light of the sun. And take a few breaths here and just really connect into that space. Each breath in pours that light in through the crown, and you become that channel, grounded, grounded to the earth, connected to the sun, to the light. And here you are in this open channel. And we're going to take this moment right here, right now, to open up our sacred space. Here we are in this channeled open space. Your ego's out of the way. We want to open up our sacred space today, calling in all directions, all of our guides, all of the beings that are here cheering us on for our highest good only. Calling on our spirit animals, any archangels that are here working with us. Calling on Pachamama, saying thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for holding us, grounding us. We're calling on all of our guides and angels and ask in this moment of channeled space, who's here to work with me today? You may sense, feel, you may get an inner knowing. You might not visualize it. You might not hear it. You will know. So just sense, is there a temperature? Is there a color associated with this guide? What is their token to you right now to show you that they are working with you in the mundane, in the physical? Ask them to show you. Is it a coin? Is it a feather? How do you know that they're working with you? How will they get their messages through? Is it through numbers? Is it through feathers? Is it through rocks? Is it through colors? Is it through shapes? What is their signature of messaging you personally? Feel it, sense it, know it. Maybe even asking, who are you? Who do you work with? Are you working in the light and for my highest good? Yes, 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 yes. We get those yeses. Beautiful. And thanking our guides right here, right now. Thanking. And if you have a message, I'd like to continue to work with you. I'd like to continue to receive messages from you. Noticing your body awareness right now. Is the top of your head tingling? Is your temperature shifting and changing as you are receiving these messages? Just notice what you're feeling in your body so that you can relate that further down the road. Oh, there's that head tingling. Oh, I must be getting a message. Let me tune in and turn on. So just to a body awareness as you're tapped in. And tapping into the emotional awareness of how you are feeling right now as you are connected to this particular being, this guide. Are you feeling a certain type of way? Does your heart feel mushy and sparkly and soft? Do you feel a sense of excitement? Just notice what that emotional response is to this. And then spiritually, just going into your spiritual realm, your spiritual body, that energy body, and feeling, sensing the light from the sun, cloaking you in this new energy body, maybe feeding and nurturing your energy body, filling you up. And let's go ahead and take a nice deep alchemizing breath. Just deep breath in. Let all this energy alchemize in your physical body. And one more deep breath. Ah, thanking our guides. And we want to bring that awareness to that top, that's beautiful energy. Woo, that's at the top of the head. And maybe you want to close your portal up. That's totally up to you. Rather you want to close your portal or you want to stay in this energetic field for a little while, maybe through the rest of the podcast. It's totally up to you. How you feel? That's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, can I share?
I would love that. Yes, and I would love to hear, we want to hear what you guys' experience was from that, and see where you went, what you got.
see where you went, what you got, and I also want to speak on that too, that if you followed through and you participated in this practice that Star just shared. Thank you for sharing, by the way. That was great. And you
Little
felt,
impromptu.
yeah, and you felt maybe some self-consciousness, or you questioned whether or not you were doing it right, or whatever came through. Just know that whatever came through for you is perfectly perfect, and thank and honor those feelings for coming up and their place that they had in that process, and give a little love and nurturing, and just be soft with yourself and in any practice that you do in this realm, or any sort of um new age, metaphysical, whatever you want to call it, energy work. Just be soft with yourself. um
Right. It's so true. And the thing too is that that's just a very basic, get yourself in a channeled space, open up sacred space in there, like connect in, ground yourself. These are like basic, basic, basic for any kind of mediumship.
mhm.
So the more you practice that, as Ty says, the more you practice and you nurture that, the more that you'll be able to connect in.
Absolutely,
So
100%.
what was your experience, Ty?
So my experience, I have a couple of kittens running around in my actual space right now. So when you first started, we were first going through, I was like feeling little cats running through. And so I had kind of had like a discernment of, is this energy right here, or is, what am I calling in right now?
And
Uh
also how that energy affects the pets in the room.
oh yeah, it does for sure. Yes, I was about to go off on a whole tangent, but just yes, like it but my guide that just came through, was a dolphin being, and I feel like it's very reminiscent in kind of what I'm working on in this whole lightening up vibe theme that we're working with, and just I'm thinking, okay, so what do dolphins mean to me? What does that represent to me? They were always my favorite animal growing up. When I was a little kid,
Oh, nice.
I want to be two things. I either want to be a marine biologist, or I want to be a singer. Those were my two aspirations when I was
I
little.
thought you were going to say I want to be a dolphin or a mermaid.
That too. Pretty sure I was a mermaid in past life. And so I was connecting with that energy, and when you asked, who are you and who do you work for? I immediately got that it was Triton. It was the son
Mm.
of Poseidon and Amphitrite. And that's interesting because I was very influenced by Greek mythology when I was like junior high school area of my life, and I really felt a resonance with Amphitrite, the Greek goddess of the sea. She's the wife of Poseidon. And I always felt like a very maternal sort of energy from her. So when you ask that clarifying question in the practice of who are you, who do you work for, which I think is great, by the way, to like add those questions into that process, because just now it gave me a deeper insight of like, okay, there's this dolphin being coming in, but now we can lean in a little bit further and like, oh my God, okay, son of like Triton, son of Poseidon and Amphitrite, and then it felt kind of like a brotherly camaraderie, like here to support me, type of energy. So that was kind of the experience that I was having as we were going through. And there's also something to be said as you go through these practices, also to be mindful and be present as you continue throughout your day, because messages and things may come up, even out when you're outside of that
Right.
actual.
100%. Yes. 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 Yes.
So yeah,
So did you get messages of how they're going to communicate with you out there? Like, is it a coin? Is it a feather? Is it a this or that, a color or whatever? Because this is how we can take it into the mundane life, and see and be present to those messages. Oh, there's that dolphin.
I was really kind of pulled toward more of a feeling, like an
Mm.
emotion like an emotional sort of connection. And what I'm thinking is to maybe have some sort of hand placement or some sort of physical trigger that I can use to connect with that energy. It was like very peaceful,
Mm.
very very much what I'm trying to encapsulate of, kind of relaxing in to this space of allowing, into this space of outside space and time where, creativity can happen, where those messages come through. And so that's really what I'm feeling, is to create something to shift that awareness into that vibration, into that feeling, to connect with that energy.
Okay, so let's go there. Let's take it the next step. Okay, so this is the next step, and I want all of you guys, if invite you guys to do this. So go back to that feeling just right now. See if you can breathe into the feeling, the felt sense that you had in your body. The felt sense that you had in your body as you were connecting to that guide. Now, I want you to take your hands and make a movement as to what that feeling feels like. Just move your hands in such a way. What does that feeling of connecting with this guide feel like in your hands? Move your hands in this way and associate it with the sense of that peace, right? And so whatever that feeling is, and now you can take that movement, and whenever you want to connect in with your guide, maybe you can start making that movement with your hand to say, okay, I'm here, I'm ready, I'm connected, I'm in.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And that's something that you can do subtly. Like, I'm going to give you guys a different example of, for Tyler, it was that calm and that peace, right? But let's say you connected with a guide that was there to help you with protection. Okay, you can call in and let's say, oh, this felt like Archangel Michael. This felt like Isis. This felt like, X, Y, or Z. Now I'm standing in a place in public somewhere where I'm not feeling so safe or something has triggered me. I can use that. I could be standing in a line in the grocery store and I just invoke that feeling within me. I'm safe. And you can do that in the grocery store pretty easy. I'm safe, I'm secure, I got this. I'm calling on my protection tribe, you know?
Something that I really got in the feeling of, what this could physically look like. I really feel it being in a place of open and receiving, so palms up, hands up, because you can think about that too, that your body position and your body language really does add another layer to what you're trying to connect with. If your
Right?
arms
It's bringing it into the somatics.
yeah, like this, you're shut off, you have that barrier up, I even recognize
Oh,
myself kind of doing that in like situations, and I'll consciously,
body language for
unfold my
sure, right?
arms and
Yes.
being in
I'm
a
walking into a room like this. Like, okay.
yeah.
It's true. It's so true. Yeah. So I'm so curious as to what you guys, as our, tried and true tribe, how did you experience that, and what's there? And one thing that I really want to say about all of this, as we're learning to tap into our guides and the spirits of, it's that there's no right or wrong answer as to who you are communicating with, right? And this gets down to our belief systems. And one of the things that I have, learned in walking this shamanic path is that we have many names for the same thing across spiritual realms, and like I'll give you an example of what and Tyler and I were talking about this a little bit too is like this emerald green light of healing. This emerald green light of healing. I'm going to call on the healers in my tribe because I need for, extra help in healing this person. So I'm calling on the healers. And so I have learned that that gate of the south is where if I open up that portal and I say, I'm calling on the healers, who's available to come in, I'm going to see that emerald green light of healing coming through. And that might look like the form of the green Tara. That might look like the form of Archangel Raphael. That might look like the form of the mantis beings coming in and doing, psychic surgery. And so, that really comes down to a little bit of your own belief system and what resonates, what frequency resonates with you that's going to come through that portal. And it's up to you to determine that. And this is why we ask the questions. Who are you and who do you work for? Because we don't want just anybody coming through that portal. We want to be discerning. We want to say, like, who is this that we're working for and working with? And who do you work for, right? So then the practice becomes verification. I'm going to verify this in the mundane. I'm not going to just take the word of somebody, after you've established a connection, then you already know, oh, that tingling on the top of my head when I'm doing that, oh, that is Archangel Raphael. Oh, this is coming through. What is that felt sense of the experience in my body? Then you start to, the more you practice it, the more you know who it is and what that energy frequency feels like. This is why we do that physical scan, the emotional scan. Then you're starting to understand what frequency you're resonating with. So I hope that makes a little bit more sense for you guys and understanding that, for some people, archangels are the bomb and that's who the only people that they're going to work with, and for some people it's spirit animal guides, and it's all good. You have to feel what you resonate with and how that's coming in for you. And then you've got to go and verify, is it truth? Is it truth? And this is why one of the things that we ask in that exercise is, how do you speak to me in the mundane? So if I start seeing white feathers everywhere, or, if it's been, okay, our pact is that, I'm going to send you green arrows to show you that I'm really there, then you're going to start noticing all the green arrows in your life. And it's going to be wild to see how you actually wake up in your life, to see how much we are supported by these spirit guides, how we are supported. Sometimes, one of the big things is, everybody's aware in some level when you see the numbers coming in succession, 333, 444, 111, 1234, 2341, these different patterns in the numbers, and they've tapped into that frequency and go, oh, let me come back into that channeled space. If I'm seeing that, that must mean that an angel or a guide is trying to get through to me. So let me come back into my channeled space. Let me ground, let me open up my crown, let me come into that and become that medium so that I can receive the messages.
Right. And I think a lot of, what that comes down to and what this means to you is what you allow it to mean to you.
How are you interpreting it? What is your belief system around it? Can you open up a little wider and say, this was not what I was expecting. What the heck? A mantis being coming in?
Yeah.
Do the deeper inquiries, A what? A dolphin coming in? Makes perfect sense to me, Ty, that you'd receive a dolphin.
But I think, uh, you know, I very much am the person who ascribes to the idea that my brain is like a computer and I can download new information, I can update new like program software things and
Right?
that nature. And so someone, so what I'm saying is there's room for the entire spectrum of the mindset people can have when it comes to working with spirit guides, whether you personally operate on the idea of more of like a spirit model and that these are actual entities that you are, invoking and working with and that are coming to you, or if you're more of a rational, logical sort of other side of the spectrum and it's more of like a cybernetic model, and you're looking at things like an actual computer program, and like you're uploading the software and you're connecting to that energy, that frequency of, maybe you're working with a spirit animal to develop more strength and courage inside of yourself. And so you want to work with the tiger. And so I'm just saying that, whatever you feel or your own personal ideas of what, spirit guides are and what, these frequencies are and what that means to you, don't let that stop you from experimentation. Because at the end of the day, your own experimentation and your own work that you put in and your own findings is going to mean more, a million times more than anything that, Star or I have to say on it, or what all of these authors and books and, this animal or this spirit guide or this angel means this or that. The actual work that you do and that own relationship that you nurture with them is going to dictate what that actually means in your life.
Right. Right. And be open. Like I can just share a little personal story for me, like I did not grow up in the Christian household. We were Buddhists in growing up. So I didn't have, the big stories of the Bible and all of those things. And of course I knew, who Jesus Christ was and Mary and all of those things. I mean, I wasn't in the dark, but it just was like um very surprising to me when in 2012 Jesus came in as a spirit guide, you know? It has been really as of recent in the last year or so that the Marys, and I say the Marys because it's a frequency that comes through that is the Marys. It's all the Marys, it's not just Mary of Nazareth, it's Mary Magdalene, it's the representation of that divine wisdom of the feminine energy that is of that Christ consciousness and of that enlightened self that is coming in. But it is specifically, I mean, they tell me it's the Marys, we're the Marys, we're coming in, giving me crowns even, I mean, so here I am, I have to open up my lens and my, from a belief system that I was brought up with and when you start receiving these messages and you feel, you sense that this light is coming through and that this is amazing and positive and, all we can do is say yes, 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 and please and thank you. So I'd like to, just kind of encourage you to be open, be open, and that even if it's not in your wheelhouse or maybe something that doesn't make sense to you. We had somebody in our gathering pull a card and it was skunk medicine. And it was the funniest thing because we were like, oh my God, spirit animal of skunk? Like, serious? What? Who wants to pull a spirit guide animal of skunk? But then it turned out that, oh, wow, this was a really true message that was coming in, clear boundaries, seeing things in black and white, that skunk medicine, like, is a really big teacher of good boundaries, clear boundaries. And that things can get stinky. Things can get real, real stinky, and so it's not a bad thing. if things get stinky. Sometimes things got to get real stinky in order to put that layer of, boundaries up, and that, you got to meet the shit show in order to, go, no, no, you're not going to project, or whatever the story is. So be open to, you know, what comes in, what those messages are.
Yeah, and that's such a good example of, how spirit guides can come in and maybe give you a little bit of foreshadowing. Not to say that like the shit's not going to happen, but or to give you a leg up on another person or anything, but maybe to give you yourself an advantage of, okay, like this is here, this is present, and now how are you going to choose to respond, you know?
Right.
So, wow. Um, yeah, yeah.
So those of you who got spirit animals in our little, medium exercise, maybe you want to look up, Ted Andrews is really great, as far as, finding what the spiritual meaning is of these animals. And I've done a lot of work with spirit animals. I've taught spirit animal workshops, tracking, I mean, like, I really resonate with the spirit animals. Um, I resonate with, the teachings that they bring. And I think that it's really important to look up both the shadow and the light side of what these spirits that you've connected with are showing you. And when I say this, the light and the shadow side, like as in skunk medicine, are you seeing too much in black and white? Are you, like, are you making situations pretty stinky? Like, what's going on? Do you need more boundaries? Do you need to put up more boundaries? And so, we're looking at what is the medicine that is there for you, and how they can help us through this mundane life. How can they, help guide us? And really what we're doing is we're tapping into the inner knowings of who we are and what we know already.
Mhm. And I think, yeah, I think that's a beautiful point to make, is that these energies and these frequencies coming in give us an opportunity to interpret what that means, And so understanding, so if you have like, a horse coming through and that is what's showing up for you and you want to know what that means, like, well, what you can start with, what do horses mean to you already? Do you have a history
Right.
with them, like in your family? You can look up, what other people have meanings for these different beings coming in. And I think that that's a good place to start. But I also, you have said this, and I just want to speak to it, that you develop your own interpretation, because that's, I mean, a lot of psychics or mediums or people that work in that space, they have their own identifying symbols that come through in order for them to be able to interpret the messages, because that's a lot of what this is it, because unfortunately, or maybe not unfortunately, but we, I don't want to say can't, because I don't want to put limitations on anything, but typically you're not talking to a spirit guide the same way that, Star and I are talking to each other. So these messages and these communications that come through, they're coming through in waves, whether they're images or pictures or smells or feelings or different associations. It's, you have to have a little bit more of an artistic look at what's being shown to you, instead of such an analytical, like, I'm speaking a direct sentence to you, telling you, well, this message that I have to bring. There's room for that mystery and what that interpretation means and how that's showing up in your life.
That's so true. And I just want to say, like, as a person who does readings and does this work, I mean, this is my work, right? I become that channel, and whether I'm doing an energy session or a destiny reading or whatever, holding a ceremony, I go into that channeled space, but I'm also connecting with your frequency. And I'm asking what is for the highest good for you. And so that my interpretation goes into a space that I am not bringing in my interpretation, but that it's a clear channel in that way. And this is why we ground ourselves. This is why we open up, and this is why we want to get our bullshit out of the way, and so opening up that sacred space, my ego is no longer in it, and what my interpretations don't really matter, that it's a straight channel. And I think that that's something that you got to really look at when you go to somebody for a reading of any sorts, rather you want a message from your guides, or you want a message from a past life, or someone who's passed over already, or you would like to just become more acquainted with who is your posse, that it's really important that that person that you're going to is that clear channel, is not putting their kind of, and there's always a little bit, because I mean, I am you, you are me, we are in the place where we are one, right? I mean, there is that. So,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
wow, what a beautiful podcast
Yeah.
today. So very exciting. I hope you guys got a little bit of, gleam on your guides, and, really feeling pretty excited about hearing from you guys and how that went for you.
Yes, please let us know. Thank you, as always, for tuning in and turning on and opening up your minds and your hearts and joining us in sacred service.
Sacred Service Podcast, just coming to you with so much love. So happy New Year, guys. We're really looking at some topics of discussion for our next podcasts. And we wanted to, before we get off of the air today, run some ideas by you guys, and we'd love to hear from you and see, what do you guys want to hear? We were hearing that you guys wanted to hear more about angels and guides and so forth. So we thought we would tackle that. We can go into a little bit more on that if you're interested. We also wanted to dive into the topic of sacred sexuality. What is that? What does that even look like? We're moving out of an old patriarchal way of being where everything is sexualized, and we're moving into a new dawn, a new place. What is sacred sexuality? And so we would love to, we're hoping to invite some guests in that can really talk to us maybe a little bit about tantra, about polyamory, about, sacred sexuality. And if you know anybody, or you are that person, reach out, because we'd love to hear, from our community. We're just two perspectives on that. And I'm sure we come from very different perspectives on that, just even Tyler and I, what that may look like. And so, we're just two people. And so if that's a topic that you're interested in and you'd like to dive in a little bit more, let us know. We're thinking about doing a topic on trauma and trauma responses, really looking deeply at what is this thing called trauma and how we can track out of trauma, and the different kind of feedback loops that we get into with that. So we also thought about doing a segment on demons and entities, and kind of that whole realm of how to recognize what those, suspicious kind of entities are, how to recognize, how to, really kind of go into that realm. Demons are such a hot topic, everybody's wanting to talk about demons these days. And I think that it's such an interesting topic in shadow work, and how we are labeling much of our shadows and traumas and dramas as demons, and what really is a demon versus what is a trauma, and how do they intersect, so we can unpack some of that too. So we thought we'd get into a little bit more of the sacred realms, and really maybe talk about what are the sacred realms, and also, like, what is sacred service? What is sacred service to you? What does that mean? What is sacred service to you? So we've got some hot topics for this year that we want to dive into. And we're really excited to include you guys as a community and not only as listeners, but as participants. And we are always open to interviews and we're always open to getting our community involved in varying ways. So we're really grateful for you. This has really been a beautiful thing. Your feedback has been really great. I feel like we've kind of tried to open up different lenses and different viewpoints from varying different places, not only on metaphysics, but how to bring the metaphysics into the physical form, into this place. And I think that that's really what the Sacred Surface podcast is about. And so, yeah.
I'm grateful to be in sacred service with you, Star, and with all of you. Thank you so much for being tribe and being present. I love you guys so much.
See you next week.
All right.
Mwah. Yay.